Actually, I'm out of water, so I'm going to go do that really quick. I'm sorry, I'm the worst. Welcome to RPG Book Club, a podcast where we play a little bit of a video game and talk about how it makes us feel. I am Sam Allman.
I am Elias Sailor Eli Warren.
And I'm Maddy Grace Webbin.
And today we will be playing Part 7 of Tales of Symphonia, covering everything up until the party member date in Flinois. But before we get to all of that, how was everyone's week?
Honestly, nothing's happened for me.
It feels like we recorded yesterday.
I don't know. I don't really think anything happened. It's been very uneventful, except for I work.
Love this for you.
Yeah, me too.
I've had a lot going on. I don't actually remember. I actually remember most of what I've had going on. Oh right, I had my first. So after a bit of time not having a lot of work. My job has now done two things. First of all, we have to go back into the office, which means I now have to fucking commute to work instead of just doing virtual tutoring. Don't get me wrong, I like in-person tutoring more, but having to commute to work sucks.
Yeah, it's not worth it.
It makes my day harder. And also, I have a lot more students. Last week, I had like 2 students the entire week, which is very low. This week, I had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, which isn't insane, though it's not great. And next week I'll have even more. I had 1 or 2 students who were here who aren't starting until next week. So yeah, having to commute and having these longer blocks of students. Like yesterday, I was gonna have I was going to have 6 hours of tutoring at the office yesterday, which combined with the fact that my other job is about 5 hours a day, that's 11 hours, if you can do the math. But I managed to take an opportunity to reschedule a student for today because the student told me that she actually wanted to stay virtual. And I was like, alrighty, well, if you want to stay virtual, what if we met on Friday instead? She was like, all right. That way I don't have to go to the office on Friday. I can just boot up my computer and do a lesson. But that made my day a lot better, which is good because let me tell you my last 24 hours. Okay. Oh, right. Sorry. And last Sunday, my local DSA chapter had its first, in the last 15 months, IRL social. And it was we have a general meeting every month, and every other month we actually vote at our meetings, like deliberate and make decisions collectively. Every other month we vote, and then the ones in between it's usually like we have a reading or we have a presentation, someone gives a speech, something like that. Like we have some kind of programming that isn't voting related. So anyway, since this was a non-voting month, we had a social in the park, and everyone was wearing masks and distancing, even though most of us were vaccinated anyway. We just, you don't want to make the one person who's not uncomfortable, right?
Absolutely.
But it was so good. There were a ton of new members. I chatted with so many new people, introduced myself, learned about them, learned about their deals. People gave speeches, both the inspiring kind of speech and the, hey, I'm in charge of X committee, you should join our committee and help us with our work kind of speech. I got some people's contact info with the intent of following up with them. I didn't. But that's because I was very, very busy this week, and I'll follow up with them later. We had pizza, and we had, some cold brew coffee, and just the weather was beautiful. I dressed real cute, and so did pretty much everyone else. And it was just everything you want out of hanging out with people at a park. It was great. It was what I needed out of life. And then let me tell you about my last 20. So that was awesome. Let me tell you about my last 24 hours. Oh yeah. Also, there was some friend-related drama that I won't share, not even in the most vaguest possible terms. But it's pretty lousy. Actually. It's not terrible.
You see the thing about implosions?
No, it's not even that kind of thing, really. It's not terrible, but some people are going through some stuff, and it's a shame. I'm not really involved with it, but it makes me very sad. You know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, so that's rough. And I guess that was happening the last couple, like Sunday through like Wednesday. Now it might be turning out a little bit better. But let me tell you about my last 24 hours. So, like I said, I've been working like 5 hours a night at my night shift job, which is, it fluctuates. Sometimes it's like 3.5 hours, sometimes it's like 5.5 hours. But this week it's been like 5 hour shifts every night, like bam, 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 going home at like 4:15, getting to bed by like 5 or later. So last night, but what I found out this week was that the local Machinists Guild, aka or Machinist Union, I guess, I actually think they do call it a guild, but it's a union. They're going on strike because their boss is being terrible, basically. And it turns out these guys, they basically fix diesel engines and other type important machines. They are necessary to this entire fucking half of the state functioning because they service like the whole Northern California. Buses, they fix buses. Hospital backup generators, they fix those. Facebook and all the other Silicon Valley tech company data centers, they fix those. Schools, they fix those. So basically, if they're not doing their job, literally everything shuts down, including hospitals, Facebook, half of the internet, and all the transit. So they're very, very important, and they're not being treated right, so they're striking. And that was this morning, and I said I would be there at 7 a.m. So, last night, I get off work, I realized going home, doing my nighttime routine to shower and go to bed would take too much time. So, instead, I moved my car from the middle of the work parking lot to the outer edge of the work parking lot where it's darker, and I took a nap for 2 hours, from 4 a.m. to around 6 a.m. I also changed clothes because I was really gross. I didn't take a shower, but I at least changed out of my work clothes. And I also put on some perfume to hide my gross smell and reapplied deodorant. And then I drove to McDolland's and got some breakfast because I was very sleepy. And then I went to the picket line from 7 a.m. to 9 a.m. And then I went home and showered. And then I slept for about 2.5 more hours. And then I tutored a kid. And then I slept for about 1.5 to 2 more hours. And now I'm here.
Fun.
And after this, I'll sleep for about 1 more hour. And then I'll go back to work. Basically, I literally whipped out my calculator and was like, okay, I really want to support this picket line. I really want to be there. If I do all these different activities, work, tutoring a kid, picket line, drive, factoring in drive time, stuff like that, how much time will I have to sleep? And I did how much time will I have for everything else, including sleeping, eating, showering, all that stuff. And I did the math, and I saw the number of hours I would have, and I was like, okay, I can make this work. I feel great. I was a little worried that it would go terribly, but my naps have been successful naps, and good. I feel pretty good. So hopefully tonight I'll go to work, and it won't be awful, and everything will be great. I love it when a plan comes together.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was just fun little adventure because I was thinking, should I go to this thing at 7 a.m. or should I not? And I decided to do it, and I was like, I hope this doesn't come back to bite me in the end. And so far, it looks like I'm suffering no consequences for my actions. So we love to see
it. Yeah. This week, I had a couple different cool things happen. So the first cool thing is Summer has a new best friend that's local up here, and she's really cool. She came over and we hung out. We did.
Oh, that's awesome.
We used my RetroPie to play random ass games that we've never heard of. Just like go to my all games out of my 6,000 old games that are on there, and just say,
that's fun.
Select a random game, and we had to commit to playing it, but we did not have to commit to getting to gameplay, just in case it was some old shitty RPG with a super long intro cutscene or something like that. And so we were playing a bunch of those, and we played Shadowgate 64, which seems like it fucking whips. And now I want to play Shadowgate 64.
Hell yeah.
It's an RPG on the Nintendo 64 in like a Doom engine. And
it's cool that y'all found a friend who is into that sort of thing.
Yeah. And so Deanne's boyfriend, common law spouse, been together for forever, but they're not actually married yet. He has a kid named Bronson who's 9 years old, which means he is ripe age for me to turn into a nerd years old.
Oh, no.
And so for his birthday, I'm making him his own RetroPie thing, and I'm putting it inside of my Sonic Mania Collector's Edition statue so that
That's cute.
have Sonic on top of his TV that plays in video games.
That's awesome.
Yeah. The other thing that I did this week is so I'll start with the ending of the story because it'll make the first part not suck so bad. So I learned today that I'm getting hired at my job, which is awesome. It's like not technically official yet. There's one last person that has to say yes, but the person that has to say yes is not the CEO, and the CEO has already said yes. So it's basically a formality because the person with the poll has already said yes. But so that doesn't go into effect until September. Right now, I'm still a temp, and temps should unionize because it fucking sucks to be a temp. And so I don't get any PTO. It's a 6-month contract, and they just say don't get sick or take off work for 6 months, and it fucking sucks.
That really sucks.
And so I was talking with my manager about it because, as I mentioned before, she's super cool. Like, when I told her that we shouldn't buy HP, she said okay. And, like, things like that, she's just said okay and listened to me a lot recently, and it's weird. And so I told her, I'm like, hey, I'm feeling, like, burnt out on work. Like, this is the best job that I've ever had. I love it doing what I do, but, like, I come to work and I fuck around on my phone and I'm, like, not, like, being as productive as I know that I can be because I would love to just take a day off, and I can't do that. And I was like, so I have an idea. What if I do 4 tens next week, do 1 hour early, 1 hour late? Neither of those will make it feel that much different because I'm at my house. It's work from home anyways. So I'm like, look, if I do 4 tens, then I can take Wednesday off. Because if you do 4 tens and you have 2 on, 1 off, 2 on, 2 off, that's your week. It feels like you never are working because it's always Monday or it's always Friday. And so it rules. And so I did that this week. I just successfully finished it, and the day off recharged my batteries.
That's awesome.
As Eli can attest, I spent most of the day running instances in Final Fantasy XIV.
Yes.
And I basically have completed the storyline for A Realm Reborn. The thing that sucks is the last 3 quests of A Realm Reborn. Like, they build up all this momentum. Like, hell yeah, Heaven's Word is, like, right now. They're like, but first you have to go do this 16-step side quest, 4 of the steps of which are, like, hour-long raids that you have to go and do.
It's only 3 steps, and they don't usually take a full hour.
Okay.
Like, you can skip all the cutscenes, and there's really only the beginning cutscene, the final boss cutscene, and then the end cutscene.
Okay.
I mean, I wouldn't recommend skipping, like, the end cutscene, but the ones for, in the middle kind of stuff.
Yeah. But either way, it's 16 quests unrelated to my main quest that suddenly have a due date of right now, and so it's frustrating. And so I have not technically gotten to Heaven's Word, but I'm so close I can fucking taste it. And
I'm excited for when it happens.
Yeah. So I was able to do that on Wednesday. I also played a lot of The Last of Us, coming soon to a podcast interview. And it's real good. So I wasn't expecting it to be good, but, like, I was expecting it to be good because everyone says that it's good. But I was expecting it to be good asterisk, like how Uncharted is good asterisk. It's like, oh, the storytelling's good.
It is so much better than Uncharted.
The platforming is good, but none of those things work very well together. Here, it's like everything flows, everything's good. Like,
the game is so cohesive. That's one of its biggest strengths, is that it really is just this very coherent sort of thing.
Yeah, and so we played a lot of that, and then realized that because of my my 410 schedule this week, me and Summer hadn't been able to play Tales of Symphonia in the morning because I just basically wake right up and go to work instead. So we then played like 6 hours of Tales of Symphonia on Wednesday. So I played a shitload of games and then came to work on Thursday and Friday, and I kicked butt and took names, and it was great. So
nice.
Highly recommend taking time off if you can.
Yeah. Oh.
If you can't, do a double one day so you can do a zero another day if possible.
Oh yeah, one more thing on the world of like art consumption. I did see the new movie In the Heights on Tuesday.
Is it good?
Okay, so here's my very, very quick review of In the Heights. So it's based on a musical that was Lin-Manuel Miranda, creator of Hamilton. It's a musical he made before he made Hamilton. I actually saw it on Broadway when it was first running, starring Corbin Bleu, doing a fantastic job as the lead role from High School Musical. That sort of launched his career as something other than a guy who was from High School Musical. Anyway, I remember thinking that was mostly style, no substance, but holy cow, what style. I loved every second of it, and frankly, that's what most good musicals are anyway, especially when you're seeing them on Broadway. You're seeing them for singing and dancing and loudness and beautiful set designs and costumes, and it doesn't really matter if there's any depth there. So they made a movie of it because, you know, Hamilton's so popular. And from a filmmaking standpoint, from a cinematic standpoint, I would highly recommend Sam go watch it as a film person because it's the new standard for Hollywood movie musicals. No question.
Nice.
The cinematography, the editing, even the sound mixing and the singing, they kind of overproduce it and make it sound all poppy and a little auto-tuned, but like not too much. It sounds really good. I mean, as far as that kind of music goes, you know what I mean, where it's going to be very clean and produced. It sounds great. The singing, the dancing, the cinematography, the color grading, the costume, the sets, everything is fantastic. Absolutely phenomenal. It is everything that the last decade of Hollywood musicals have been trying and failing to accomplish in terms of translating that musical feeling onto the big screen and using modern dramatic Hollywood movie making techniques applied to a musical. So in other words, it's not like the classic Hollywood style musical, which is a very different kind of movie. So it's the new standard. It's the gold standard. It's fantastic. They did an incredible job with it. It's also one of the most offensive movies I've ever seen in my entire life. It made me deeply, deeply sad. Every single thing about it. I think it is a tragedy. It is not intended as a tragedy, but it's a tragedy. And I'm not one of those people to be like, I'm going to judge every single movie based on how much it like matches my politics. Like, I don't care. Okay. Like a lot of classic 80s action movies are like straight up fascist, but it's like, first of all, that doesn't mean it can't be a fun action movie. And second of all, movies that reflect a certain mindset that's culturally prevalent, you know, like Reaganism or whatever, it can be very interesting intellectually to engage with that kind of material. This movie, though, was just vile in its worldview, in its message, in its overt message, and in its subtle messaging. The whole movie is about a community of people, and it very much tries to be a community of like poor immigrants, and it very much tries to be about sort of the value of these people. And yet, at every second, the movie is undercutting it by saying that the only real good thing to do when you're in a poor immigrant community is to get out, and those who don't get out aren't good enough, and they suck basically. And it is a very, very disgusting film, and also very depressing and sad because it reflects the mindset that a lot of people have, and we all need to stop having that mindset if we're going to get anywhere as a society. So that's my review. Very confusing movie. I enjoyed every single second of it, and also it like made me want to cry because of like the way the world is. Again, not on purpose though. If it was on purpose, then I would just say 4 stars, brilliant work of art, right? But it's like, no, this movie is not intentionally breaking my heart. It's trying to have an inspiring message. Anyway, I would recommend it. I would recommend going to see it. It's quite the experience. Also probably the worst structured and paced. It is terribly structured and paced, but I would chalk that up to the musical, not to the movie making, which is why it's still the gold standard of Hollywood movie musical making.
Nice. I haven't watched it. Summer listens to the music from the Broadway one a lot, so I'm like fairly
Oh, they
fluent in it,
changed
but
the
not-
music a lot in ways that I wouldn't say are bad or good. It's just it's actually very interesting. It's cool that they went a lot of the backing tracks are significantly changed. It's very cool.
Yeah, but the main thing that I've heard about it has been on TikTok, because I basically only follow Black creators on TikTok, and I recommend everybody do that for like whatever you're doing. Just amplify Black voices. They're better than white people, anyways. Like, I'll come out and say it. White people fucking suck, and black people are funny and make good content. So you should follow them on whatever you follow people on. But because of that, on TikTok, basically every Black person's been like, it's real offensive in 2021 to have a like movie about the Black experience directed by a non-Black person, even though John Chu is a person of color. It's not the same color, and it's gross because of that, but they didn't expound. So it makes sense with what you were saying that it probably is just tone deaf and bad.
I actually don't agree with that. First of all, I don't actually agree with that kind of stuff generally. I mean, we've talked about this. But more importantly, no, every single thing that's bad about the movie is the musical. It's not about the directing. It's the like, okay, there could be bad stuff about that I've heard that there's a lot of issues with like casting and representation and stuff, but no, like the musical written by Lin-Manuel Miranda, like Latino, he might even be an immigrant. I think it's based on like where his sort of a childhood experiences is. That's the problem with the movie.
Okay.
It is a horrendously, like, he's the problem with the movie. And the good news is I don't have to stop being a Lin-Manuel Miranda hater, because I was worried I was going to have to stop being a hater. But nope.
Nope.
Sorry, I had to holler about that real quick because it's a big movie, and I encourage anyone to go see it. Honestly, maybe, kind of, sort of.
Yeah. Anywho, speaking of things that are also upsetting, let's talk the plot for this week.
And things that have no structure or pacing.
Yeah. This week is definitely the disc 2 of Final Fantasy VII of Tales of Symphonia. But, yeah, let's listen to the Darius Kharlan music and then talk about the plot. Okay, so we start this week just after the disc change, where Colette has started to turn into a green crystal, and we saved all the people from the Isalia Human Ranch, and we saved just outside of an obvious cutscene trigger. This week, we trigger that cutscene.
We walk 2 feet to the left.
In this cutscene, the mayor is going off on us about coming back to the village while banned, and basically everyone in the village turns on him for being complicit in the murder of their friends and family. And the mayor, like all public figures who are called out on their bigotry, doubles down.
Especially, like, specifically, let's be clear here, mayors. One of the worst kinds of politician in the entire world.
Yes. He doubles down real hard and pulls out some Tetheala level racism, and he basically gets fired in front of everybody. The village forgives us. But most notably, Chocolat forgives us. And she's like, "Oh, I heard them say that you were so nice to my grandma. I'm sorry." And Lloyd's like, "Thank you for forgiving me." And yet again, no one brings up the fact that we didn't kill Marble. She sacrificed herself to save us. But I digress. Like, seems important, but now that side plot is wrapped up in it. No one ever.
Maybe
said
everyone
it, so
was just so traumatized by what happened that they all just kind of forgot what happened.
Or the writers forgot what happened, which is a theme this week. But we make our way to the edge of town, and Kratos says that he accepted a job to take Colette back to Dirk's house because apparently he still is taking mercenary jobs in this day and age. And he's like, once we get back to Dirk's house, I'm leaving. I'm going back to Crucius. So we go to Dirk's place, and he tells us that he knows jack shit about Crucius crystals, and so he has no way to help us with whatever's happening with Colette, and we're like, fuck. So Kratos turns to leave, and Lloyd stops him and is like, "What's your whole deal, man?" And Kratos is like,
"Why are you like this?"
"Reasons."
Yeah.
He's like, "Can you expand on that?" No. And leaves.
And then he cracks some kind of really lame pun and makes references to grilling and how he needs to go work on his boat. And we're like, that's interesting.
But he tells Lloyd to research the ancient Kharlan War and to find out a way to save Colette, and he leaves. We then get a quick hangout scene with all of our friends, and afterwards we decide to go see Altessa, who actually knows shit about Crucius crystals, so he might be able to help Colette. So last week, the whole we have to go say goodbye to our entire friends and family because we're about to change the way that this works. And even though last week they were like, oh, but the otherworldly gate and the Tower of Salvation will still be a pathway to the other world. You're like, okay, that's how we're going to go in between from here on. Nope. Not a thing. You just hop in your yards and you can go in between both sides like it's nothing. Getting back to Tetheala is not a plot point. Whatever.
It's weird.
So,
I do kind of admire the fact that they put in a whole saying goodbye to all your friends thing that makes no structural sense in the game's format and the game's structure, but it does make perfect sense for the characters because they don't know that.
Yeah. Just it would all I would need is the little dot that you fly over to go in between worlds. If they moved it from the bases to the place where the Tower of Salvation used to be and to the otherworldly gate, but no, not at all. So we make it back to Altessa's house, and Tabitha tells us that she nearly got smooshed, but Mythos saved her. Mythos is like, it's no big deal. Altessa tells us that the Angel Toxicosis has been replaced with Chronic Angelus Crystallis and Officium, which is an ancient rare rejection of the Crucius crystal that happens in 1 in 1,000 Chosens, but the knowledge of the cure on how to fix it was lost in the ancient Kharlan War. Mythos says he knows a part of the library in Cybac that has shit all about the Mythos in the old war, so we head out there. While we're there, we read about one of Mythos's companions that was afflicted with Chronic Angelus Crystallis and Officium, and that a unicorn saved them.
That's convenient.
We're like, oh, cool. We already have the unicorn's power. The unicorn said that he was sent to save Martel, so we've been using unicorn magic this whole fucking time. It's not doing anything, so we must be missing something. Mythos is like, well, the royal family also has a library about the Kharlan War, so you guys should go talk to them. And we're like, do you need a ride back? And he's like, no, I'll figure it out. And we're like, okay, that's not suspicious. So we make our way over to Meltokio, and we head through the sewers again, and we see Varley, who is talking with one of the papal knights, and we find out that he has been supplying poison to the Pope to kill the king slowly, make it look like it's an illness that they just couldn't fix. We stop Varley. We stop him not with a boss fight. Presea just fucking axes the guy in a cutscene. It's awesome.
It's so great.
I love this for her.
She needed this, yeah.
She just gets to kill the guy that is responsible for her sister's death.
She rolled a nat 20.
And Regal goes to talk to him a little bit, and Lloyd draws his sword, but not a single person was like, no, Presea, you're better than this. Every single person was like, damn right. Get that motherfucker. So we realize that Varley is connected to Rodile, who's connected to the Desians, who's connected to Crucius. So we need to stop the Pope because Crucius obviously was helping the Pope do whatever it was. And we don't know all of the pieces and all of the why, but Crucius is trying to destroy the world. So whatever it is, it's bad. We need to go and save the king. So we go confront the Pope and get the antidote for the poison, and we ask him, why are you such a dick? Why do you hate Kate, your daughter? why do you basically have her in indentured servitude, and then also wrote all of these super racist laws? And his answer's not good.
Not what I expected.
No.
No, he basically is like, oh, yeah, I made some fucking half-elf Jim Crow laws because Kate ages slower than me, and so I will die and she'll still be young, and I don't like that.
Yeah, I thought it was at least going to be, you know, like, I don't know, like, because he's ashamed to have a bastard kid or whatever, which is like a much, like, still bad, but like pretty normal way to think. But yeah, he's just like, I think it's icky.
Yeah.
It's weird. It's really...
It's real bad.
Yeah.
So he runs away, and we run after him, but we're stopped by some papal knights. So then, in probably the best scene in the entire game, Colette pretends to be an evil angel of Crucius, who is at the beck and call of Zelos, the Chosen, as proof of their sovereignty over the Pope. And it's this big, hilarious ruse where Colette's tripping over her words. Lloyd's like whispering her villainous lines to say. It is top notch.
Yeah, to be a little more clear, Lloyd basically, again, is occasionally smart, and he tells Colette to act like an evil angel who's going to punish them, and then Zelos says, "No, don't. I'm Zelos, the Chosen, and I've decided to show these people my love and grace by calling off your wrath." And then the people are like, "Oh my God, thank you so much for not murdering us." And then from that point on, because if you recall, up until this point, every single town, like half the towns in the game, they've been like, oh, half the towns in Tesla, they've been like, oh, we got to sneak in. Oh, because there's guards. Oh, we got to go through the back gate. Oh, there's like a sewer dungeon. There's like at least 2 or 3, and there's like a lot of different cities where that happens. And now from this point on, that's just no longer a thing. Yeah. All the guards are just chill with you now.
And it's great. So we make it up to the king's room, and we give him the antidote, and he comes to, but he's pissed at us for reasons. I don't even remember why, but since we did save him, he thanks us by giving us access to his archives.
We're talking about the king, right?
Yes.
He mostly just is a jerk and he's just been through a lot and is kind of over it. So if I recall, he's not really mad at us. It's more just like, it's the typical hero, like because of you and your big plot lore bullshit, all of this is happening, and I can't just have a nice boring life, basically. I think it's just that kind of thing. It's nothing in particular. He's just kind of a jerk.
Yeah. Either way, he tells us to never talk to him or his son again.
Literally.
Literally. So in the archive, we find a book that's in ancient Elven about forging a rune crest out of a mana leaf herb, a mana fragment, a unicorn horn, and zircon. Regal says that his company mines zircon, so they probably have some. And mana leaf herb is probably in Heimdall, the Elven village, says Rain. And the mana fragment is in Darius Kharlan, says Zelos. And we all decided to save that one for last because storming the enemy keep is more climactic. So first we go to Heimdall. If you're me, you can go to either one. But first we go to Heimdall, but we only can do so if we have a letter from the king. But the king hates us, so we ask the Princess Hilda. She says, okay, and gets us a permission slip for the field trip. It's just an extra cutscene. Doesn't stop us. There's no real anything there. So we get to the forest where Heimdall is, and you have a conceptually cool forest dungeon that I don't like at all. There's too many screens, so the monsters respawn too much, and if you fuck up on the process, you have to start the whole thing over again, and I don't like it. But thankfully, there's no boss.
Yeah, it's a pretty nice one. The gimmick this time around is you're in the forest, and there are 3. What's weird is that it's 2 parts to the dungeon. The first part is obtaining the ability to do the dungeon's gimmick. And the second part is doing a puzzle with the gimmick. So the second part, which is a puzzle with the gimmick, is basically if you click on a lily pad, it makes a fish do a thing. And if you click on a tree, it makes a bird come and get you and transport you somewhere. And if you click on on the top of a tree, and you click on the bottom of a tree, it makes a pig come out of nowhere and ram into the tree, which makes something happen. So those are the 3 different things. You're interacting with the environment. They're building up the whole like elves nature bullshit because you're interacting with nature and all that kind of stuff. So that's it. Trees, base of tree, top of tree, and lily pad. Those are the 3 things. And you use those 3 things to basically make a fish deliver you an important item that you need. There's actually an elf who will let you through, and he's like, I need to get the magical fruit. And you're like, okay, I'll do a puzzle to get you through. But here's the thing, before you can do that puzzle, you have to obtain the ability to interact with said tree, said lily pad, and said tree branch by finding a flower and then planting the flower. So that's the weird thing, is they don't just be right off the bat like, here's a puzzle, solve it. They're like, here's a puzzle, obtain the 3 MacGuffins you need in order to solve the puzzle, and then solve the puzzle.
Yeah.
Kind of weird. Little overkill.
Yeah, I would have been fine with just the find the 3 MacGuffins or just the fish, but it's doing the 3. And then, actually, no, I wouldn't have been fine with just the fish. Fuck that fish. I would have been fine with just finding the 3 MacGuffins.
Yeah, you have to trick a fish into going certain directions, and if you make the fish go the wrong way, it gets like eaten by a bigger fish, because there's always a bigger fish. And then Lloyd literally says something like, "Darn it, now we got to start the whole thing over again." I was like, "You telling me, buddy?" Yeah.
The best part is when you pick up the fruit at the end, though. The character you're controlling says, "Finally!"
Yep.
Like, oh, it's so good. We're playing with our party lead being Zelos because we like free items. So it's always Zelos that's giving me snarky shit about how bad I am at the game, which tracks. So we finally make it through and we get to the village, and Kratos is there, but he's just leaving and he still won't tell us shit. The elves at the gate were like, "Hey, half elves aren't welcome here." And so we have to go in without Rain and Genus. Tetheala really just fucking hates half-elves. Like, a lot. Like, almost as much as Maddy hates elves. So, we ask the mayor for the mana leaf herb. And he's like, "Oh, it's over in Letheon Gorge. It's not even over here." So we're like, cool. And we leave to go get the herb from there. We go to Letheon Gorge and climb up the mountain, and I really like this dungeon except for one small thing. So the sorcerer's ring in this one puts you in a Sonic 3 bubble that floats you a little bit off the ground, and there are flowers everywhere that create gusts of wind, and so you have to use your bubble to ride the gusts of wind and go up. The problem with the dungeon is that the flowers don't continuously blow wind.
Yeah.
If they did, it would be a perfect dungeon. They do it in like random short bursts, so you have to time it, and it's not like you can't press it right as you see the air gust. You have to like anticipate it because it takes a while to get in your bubble, and the gust takes a while to get there, and it's finicky when it could just be a cool little all of the puzzles are fine. My problem with it is 100% shit. I missed it, but I missed it at an interval where I can't catch it on the next one, so I have to sit through 3 of them to be able to finally
rejigger
do it.
your timing. Yeah, it's annoying. I still really like this dungeon. My favorite one of the week for sure. This dungeon is my favorite category of dungeon in video games, which is what I call an up dungeon. I first started calling them that when I played Mario World as a kid, and if you recall Mario World, the second fortress, the castle at the end of the world of Mario World.
Oh, you have to climb upwards.
Yeah, you're climbing, and the screen scrolls upwards instead of going from left to right. And I always loved that, and we always called it the up dungeon, because that was that dungeon's gimmick. And it turns out, like, half the dungeons in that game are up dungeons, but we didn't know that at the time. Anyway, I always really like it. I always like it when you're going up a mountain, up a tower. Down is nice, too. FF7's final dungeon is a down dungeon, which is cool. Mm-hmm. But the idea of, instead of just traveling across ground, the idea of constantly going higher and higher, it's very dramatic. I mean, it's just very intuitively a dramatic concept. And then if you mess up, you fall down, which I guess can be frustrating, but it's also cool. In this case, you had to use a plant you had to feed a plant you had to feed there were these basically they're like, what do you call it? Like a combination of piranha plants, like they eat things, but they also blow out air. Which is a different kind of piranha plant in New Super Mario Bros. Series. No, wait, those are in Mario 3. The ones that blow the thingy up in the air, the spiky. Anyway, whatever. So basically, you have to feed them the plants or their food, and then if you feed them their food, then they blow air. And you have to think about it cleverly, because sometimes if two of them are both blowing air, then the airflow will combine to make a different direction. And blow you the way you want to go, and sometimes you might want to tell a plant to not blow air actually, because it's fucking you up. Yeah, it was a good time. Also, unlike the previous dungeon, very easy to avoid the battles.
Oh yeah,
yeah. Again, they're continuing. The previous dungeon was an exception. For the most part, at this point, all the dungeons are just like, as long as you're a little bit good with a joystick, nearly battleless. Yeah, which is real fun.
Definitely prefer choosing to face the monsters and not just being assaulted from it. Because like if it were random battles, I wouldn't care. But it's the fact that like if every battle feels like losing. Every battle feels like losing when they're chasing you on the world map. So it feels
also, I will say at this point, for me, who isn't actually cheating, the game has continued to just become boneheadedly easy. At this point, if I accidentally forget to save and get into a boss battle, instead of being terrified, I'm like, I'll probably be fine. And I always am. But the battles, because in the normal game, the enemies, the normal mob enemies actually are rather spongy with their amount of health. So even though they're in no danger of killing you, you still gotta be kind of smart. You don't want to use up all your fucking MP every battle. You want to make sure you're not taking too much hit points. But for some reason, the scaling got off or something. Because now, a couple of quick combos and the enemies are dead. So the battles are just taking less and less time. They're getting very, very mindless at this point. So of course I'm avoiding them as much as possible for two reasons. One, it's boring, and two, if I skip enough of them, I might get my level down, and then the game might get hard again. It hasn't worked, but yeah.
No. So at the top of the mountain, we get the mana leaf with the help of the elven storyteller, who in return tells us the true story of Mythos. Mythos was born in Heimdall, but was cast out of the village when the war began. He ended the war to be able to return to his village, but he never was able to do so because he became a fallen hero. After forming the pact with Origin, a summon spirit we haven't met yet, he got a kick-ass sword that he used to split the world in two instead of save it. So that's why Heimdall doesn't let you talk about the heroes, whose names are Mythos Yggdrasil, his sister Martel, their companions Ewan and Kratos.
He only worked with Origin because he wanted to play The Sims 4.
Yeah, it's the only reason you should have Origin.
You got your Origin joke in there before I did. Yes! Mine was going to come later. Yeah, this whole game, it turns out that you're just you're just Ubisoft. You're just Ubisoft tech support guys. This whole game, you got to figure out how to get Origin to work.
Yeah. The four seraphim, as if you remember, they are called. I did not remember that until they said it again later. But they say that they have a special angel breathing technique to stop themselves from aging, so they've been alive for 4,000 years. We're like, whoa, that's crazy. Makes sense, though. This twist is the one that we're okay with. I hope there aren't two more twists coming up in the next cutscene. So we realize that the Sword of Origin is the key to it all, so we need to go get it and use it to correct the two worlds somehow. We keep up the thing that's been happening all game where we're like, something sort of Origin, so we're going to do that and hope we stumble into the right answer. And I love it. Because way too many JRPGs, it's like, what do we do? And then Sage character is like, oh, well, actually, the prophecy is this and that, and now you know everything. And our guys are like, we're just going to stop Yggdrasil from being a bad guy. And
though I will say, you think at this point in the game they would have learned that maybe just winging it and hoping for the best isn't the best move based on previous events. Last time we winged, actually, and then again, last time they winged it and hoped for the best, they did almost for the world, but in the end, they didn't. So maybe it is okay.
Yeah. Well, you see, all they know how to do is wing it and destroy the world, and they got to do something. So we head to Altamira to get the Zircon, and we find that they have some in Cyback. But on the way out to get the go to Cyback, Kuchinawa shows up to tempt us with the side quests where he can 1v1 Sheena for honor, and I totally forgot to do that.
Oh, me too. Yeah, he wants to kick our ass, and Sheena's like, look, if you want to kick my ass, how about you kick my ass in the special ritualistic way of our village by challenging me to single combat on top of, like, a fucking flaming train or something. And he's like, okay. So then he leaves. And then the thing that he was stealing, he's like, you can have it back. Which is good. Yeah, but there is, like, a special place where they're supposed to be fighting.
She gave him...
I definitely forgot to do it.
She gave him... Corinne's bell in exchange. I'm just picturing him like standing there waiting forever.
Yeah. He said, if you don't come, I'm going to destroy this bell, and he never gives you a time limit. He doesn't say to quote Bernard. Wait, what was that thing that Bernard kept dunking on? What game was it?
It was in .hack. He kept saying, they say that you're late, even though we never agreed on.
We never agreed on what time we were going to meet. So how the fuck am I late? Yeah, that exact same thing.
Yep. Yeah. So I just imagine Kushinawa was standing there on top of his train, and the fire's already run out. So he's like, "Hey, you, bring me another train. Set that one on fire. We got to wait until Sheena shows up."
I need more trains.
The orchestra and choir is unionizing because of the long work hours, because they've been playing for like 3 straight days, and they still haven't shown up to actually, like, they're just like, do we just play the song again until she shows up?
So we head to Cyback and we get the Zircon, and that scene is a cute callback to the Angel scene from earlier, because the rumors have now gotten out that like Zelos has his own pet 10-foot tall Angel of Death. Like, in Colette during part of it's like, oh wow, that sounds so scary, forgetting that that's her. And it's great.
You know what? I've been there.
Yeah. So now all we need is the mana fragment from Darius Kharlan, which is at the top of the Tower of Salvation. So we go and get Zelos' Crucius Crystal from his sister Celeste, which is a cute scene, but ultimately not that important. So we climb the Tower of Salvation, and it's the same place. Like, exactly the same place.
Like, not looks the same. There's a clue that it is, in fact, literally the same.
Yeah, Lloyd's ass print is on one of the pillars from when he got his ass kicked by Kratos a couple discs ago. And speaking of Kratos shows up, and he's like, I'm going to kick your ass. And he does.
Yeah. Not mine.
I am over-leveled, not as over-leveled as Eli is, but I'm over-leveled. And he, like... So the way you're supposed to win this, if you want to, if you try to win it, is you get your unison attack all the way up to use that to interrupt his spell casting, so that he can't ever get his judgment off. Well, I was not good enough to do that, and he used judgment, and it wiped the floor with me in one hit.
Okay, I may have just forgotten, like I might just be failing myself memory-wise here, but I feel like I fought this battle and I won it.
You might have. You're probably better at this than I am.
I might just be better at it than you. Yeah, I remembered it being a bitch of a battle, but this game definitely has only one. This week only has, in my memory, one battle you can't win, and it's one that happened right after this. So I think I was like, holy shit, this guy's so hard. And I think I may have been going through like a JRPG spiral for a while, but I do think I defeated him.
Yeah. It's thankfully a acceptable loss, but not a forced one.
Gotcha.
So
Lloyd is 98 for me, so...
Yeah, you got him in like 2 fucking hits.
Yep.
So after losing or after winning, either way, he sicks some mook angels on us to take us to prison. So we're now in prison in Kharlan, and we're like, how the fuck do we get out? And Regal breaks us out of prison with a Kamehameha wave, and we're like, holy shit, that's so awesome. And he's like, yeah, I don't use my hands to fight anymore ever since the incident, but I'm really good at it. So I'm carrying, like, be glad that my hands are cuffed because these are deadly weapons. And it's not quite a sheath sword that he'll only open at a climactic moment, but it's close enough, so I'll take it.
Yeah, here's the thing. I like that trope as much as Sam does, but in this particular case, it's like, buddy, we're trying to save the world here. Just like, I'm sorry, like, us saving the world from destruction and needing our maximum strength party so that we can defeat everything that opposes us is kind of more important than your stupid emotions. Like, shut the fuck up.
You use that Kamehameha wave on
you
the
have
Dressel,
this super powerful strength and you're just not using it because you're sad. Boo fucking who? Anyway, whatever.
Anywho, well, we still have one more week to go, so maybe we'll be lucky and he'll Kamehameha wave somebody for us. But yeah. So we make our way through the Angel City, which is called Welgaia, I believe, and Genus and Rain pretend to be Desians, and Colette pretends to be an angel that's holding us prisoner, doing the Chewbacca.
So to be clear, we get one of our other favorite tropes, which is the talking dungeon.
Yeah. So we basically just walk to the mana fragment store and say, I would like 1 mana fragment, please.
They
and
say
like,
mana machine
okay.
broke.
Yeah. And we're like, oh, dang, pretty please? And he's like, okay. And so we got it. And then the rest of our dungeon is we spend the rest of the time trying to find a way down. And we do so on the other side of a cool, slidey floor puzzle
Yes!
dungeon. Not any plot happens there, but I like the dungeon. The only thing I don't like about it is the quote-unquote red door that it opens is definitely cyan. The 2 door colors are cyan and navy. And
No, there's
like,
3 doors.
No,
there's definitely a red door.
You only touch the blue ground thing that looks like a sorcerer's ring thing, but it turns green instead of messing with your ring. There's only 2 of those you touch.
No, there's a red one too. Maybe it's optional.
I don't know.
I hit a red one. Here's the thing. I don't remember that problem that you're talking about because my issue was I could never remember what color a door was. So I would hit the button and it'd say, this color door went away. And I'd be like, cool, I don't remember which one was which color. So I'll just go around to all the doors I remember being there and see which one isn't there anymore. And then it's like, I guess that was the red one. But there were 3. So maybe it's like open-ended on the near shit.
Yeah, who knows? Either way, we get out on the other side and we make our way back to the main hall of the Tower of Salvation, and there's Origin's sword just chilling there, and we're like, yo, are there any security cameras? Can we just fucking take this and run? And like, hell yeah. So Lloyd tries, but of course Yggdrasil shows up, and he's starts to villain monologue at us, and he basically says that the Industrial Revolution is what causes war, and the only way to stop it was to split the world in 2 and basically like destroy the world every time they start getting too uppity. Dumb. So that they never get to the Magitech Revolution ever again.
It's basically the plot of both Mass Effect and big spoiler alert, Xenosaga.
Fun. I need to play Xenosaga.
Don't worry, it's the kind of spoiler where who gives a shit.
Yeah. JRPGs 9 times out of 10 are journey and not destination anyways. It's like, you can't say that Lavitz gets iced, but I could tell you that like, they're trying to have 108 steps of evolution to be able to do it. Like, who gives a fuck about that?
Literally, Xenosaga has like a cavalcade of very interesting villains with all kinds of motivations. And after all of those are dead, then the real, for real this time, I'm the actual villain shows up. and he's like, yeah, it turns out that humans, that like sentient life is always going to like destroy itself and be terrible. So every time civilization gets to a certain level of development, I intentionally reset the entire universe so that it never gets to that point. And we have to say, we're going to believe in humanity and not do that anymore. That's who cares.
Yeah. Basically what we're saying here. Lloyd tells Yggdrasil that destroying the world to try and save Martel and the Great Seed is fucked up. And he's like, you did the same thing with Colette. You turned your back on Silverant to save her. And Genus is like, no, you just give up. You fucking suck. Because Lloyd's not turning his back on Silverant. He's going to find a way to save both. He's not taking the easy way out and killing a lot of people like you are. And he's like, well, I just want everyone to be the same. If do what I'm doing, everyone will just turn into sludge zombies like Marble did, and then we'll be in paradise. And we're like, maybe not be sludge zombies. I think that would not be a fun way to live. It seems to hurt.
He wants to do the Human Instrumentality Project, basically.
Yes. So we take offense to his whole deal, and so we fight him. You can neither win nor lose this fight. You just have to survive long enough to get to the next cutscene. So Colette collapses, and in the distraction, Genus shoots a fireball at Yggdrasil. But then Pronema shows up and is like, "Not my daughter, you bitch!" and shoots dark magic at Genus. But Yggdrasil saves Genus for some reason, foreshadowing the least impressive twist of this week.
Yeah.
So he lets us go, but as he leaves, he drops Mythos, as in our friend Mythos's pan flute, for some more shitty foreshadowing.
And the whole time Genus is like,
yeah,
what could this mean? And everyone's looking at Genus like, what are you humming about? And he's like, oh, nothing.
Yeah.
I will say, like, earlier on, when they said the name Mythos Yggdrasil, at that point, I had kind of put two and two together. And so, like, when this was happening, and I was like, oh, and, like, at that time, I was like, I feel like I should have seen this coming. And then I got to this part, and I was like, oh, I absolutely see what's coming.
Yeah.
But, yeah, it was done in a very odd way.
I had a bunch of ideas about what I thought the twist was going to be, and the actual twist was way more boring. I'll just go ahead and spoil it. It's the next scene. There's just the same guy, and that's it. And Mythos is bad. But, like, I don't know. I thought it was going to be, like, Mythos is maybe, like, the reincarnation of Yggdrasil. And even though Yggdrasil's bad, Mythos is good. And maybe there's some weird lore going on there. Or, like, maybe he ends up becoming bad. Maybe it's, like, a time loop or something. But it's none of those things. It's literally just, they're the same guy. He was pretending to be nice.
Yep. But, yeah, my favorite thing about this quote-unquote twist is, like when we met Mythos and he was the only survivor of a town that was on fire and killed by angels, like, yeah, that's normal level foreshadowing. But the second bit of foreshadowing is he rides on the back of the summon spirit who says that he's bound to Mythos the hero. So it's kind of like real obvious, and the characters just don't fucking notice at all until he has to come out and say it.
If you're going to pretend to be a normal guy in order to keep tabs on the heroes,
change your name.
Why can't he just say, like, hey, my name's Carl?
Yeah.
Like, why did you name yourself Mythos?
Yeah, because, like, him being called Mythos and them not following through on the fact that Mythos is the John Smith of this world. Like, if you ran into a bunch of NPCs named Mythos, like, maybe it would be fine.
Even then, just say your name's Tony.
Yeah. So it's like, if we would have just met this little boy named Carlos and gone through the thing, and it's like, oh, Carlos was Yggdrasil the whole time, like, that would, even with all of this stuff, you would be like, huh, he was writing in on summon spirit, but like, what's up with Carlos's deal? It wouldn't be obvious that, like, oh, I bet Mythos and Mythos are the same person.
But also, why do they look exactly the same? Carlos could have at least like worn a hat.
Yeah, like,
dyed his hair.
Doesn't he have all powerful powers? Couldn't he just have looked like dyed his hair, maybe like worn some wore like a My Chemical Romance shirt,
Put on a pair of glasses,
wear some glass. Yeah. Everyone knows if you put on glasses, it's an instant perfect disguise, and no one can tell who you really are. But no, he's just like, hey guys, I'm Mythos, the bad guy, and they're like, cool.
Yeah.
So we head back to Altessa's house to heal Colette, and while Altessa is doing all of that, Mythos, the boy, is there just chilling, and Genus doesn't say anything, isn't like, hey guys, he's the bad guy. He's just like, hey, what's up, Mythos? Like, I don't think we should be friends anymore, and it's dumb. So everyone has like a party for some reason, and they're all like getting drunk, and they go to sleep. And Lloyd wakes up in the middle of the night, about to get like owned by Ewan with some like lightning fingers. And he's like, "Do you want to go meet your father?" And Lloyd's like, "What the fuck have you done with Dirk? Like fuck you." And so he goes outside, but Ewan was talking about dun 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 Kratos, because Kratos is Lloyd's father. And
Lloyd's like, hi, Kratos, and Lloyd is like, I'm so shocked, and Kratos goes, hi, shocked, I'm dad.
And so Ewan is trying to blackmail Kratos into doing what Ewan wants, because he's like, I'm going to kill your son if you don't do it. And Lloyd's like, yeah, but Dirk's my dad. This guy just sucks. And Ewan's like, ooh, your boy doesn't even like you. That's probably why your wife died, motherfucker. And that backfires, because Lloyd is like, hey, like, don't fucking talk shit about my mom.
I'm say about my mom, bitch, I'll have you know I'm a...
I'm a level 70 Taran chieftain. I can fuck you up.
Relevant, because Burning Crusade Classic just came out.
Oh, nice.
Yeah,
I knew that was coming. Didn't know if it was already out.
Yeah, it released a couple of weeks ago. Something like that. Anyway, go on.
Anyways, so Lloyd gets pissed because he's talking about his mom and goes and attacks Ewan. So Ewan's like, fuck you then, kid, and like force lightnings at Lloyd, but Kratos, of course, jumps in the way to save him. Colette shows up, and Lloyd's like, having a bit of a crisis here. I'm so mad at Kratos for killing people, and like, he's my dad. What the fuck do I do about it? Colette is like, yeah, but he's been helping us, and we don't know the whole story. So it's like, okay, cool. I won't hate Kratos yet, but I'll never forgive him for killing people. And Dirk's my dad. Kratos can just be a dude, and I'm still going to save Colette and save the world, even with this like kind of shaking up my whole worldview right now. And so now that the good twist is over, Mythos walks out to reveal the bad one. He's been Yggdrasil all along, and that's it.
That's just it. I don't even remember why. Like, I guess to spy on you or something. It doesn't seem to matter. He's just like, surprise, I'm the bad guy.
Yeah. So he then ices Altessa and Tabitha and pieces out. Ewan tells us that if Kratos releases Origin, it will kill him. But even if he does that, we won't be able to use the sword anyways, because only half-elves can use it, and Genus and Rain can equip swords. So Colette is attending to Altessa, and she begs us to save him. Since he saved her, she wants to pay him back. So we're like, okay, let's go to Flanois and get the doctor, bring him back here to take care of him.
Which, as a reminder, Flanois is the snow town.
Yes. So when we get there, the doctor is like, okay, you four, the four with the lowest affection towards Lloyd, you're coming with me, because the three is the highest. You get to have a date with Lloyd. So who did you guys take on the date?
Okay, so let me be clear about how this works.
There was a date?
Yeah, let me ask about how this works. So What happened to me was I'm just chilling in my room, and then someone knocks on the door, and it's Colette, and she's like, "Hey, do you want to hang out?" So if I said no, would someone else have then knocked on the door?
Yes, the second place would have.
See, I didn't know that.
And third place would have.
Yeah, I just said yes to
I want to hang out with Colette. Why would I not hang out with Colette? Interesting. And I also didn't pay enough attention to see who the other ones were. So I don't know who my other options were. But yeah, anyway, I hung out with Colette, which, I mean, makes the most sense anyway. Like, she's a sweetheart. She's great. Frankly, she deserves to have a moment with Lloyd for fucking once.
Yeah. So you got Colette as well, Eli?
I also got Colette because I didn't know. I was like, sure, I'll hang out with you.
Yeah. So
what did you do?
This is why I told you guys to double your save, because you want to see all the dates.
Oh.
So
I did. Sorry, go on.
I unfortunately saved over my double thing because I wanted my canon one to be Sheena, because Sheena's awesome.
Sheena's best girl.
I could choose from Colette, Sheena, and Genus were my top three.
Are these relationship points based on when you're like on the world map and you just see those random little points and you click on them and you get an extra little skit, and then you have to they usually ask you a question halfway through and you have to say yes or no, and if you say yes, they're like yay. If you say no, they're like fuck you.
Yeah, basically.
Nice.
And then there's a bunch of things like throughout the little funny things where if you're a normal person, you're like, yes, let's go save the world. But if you're Eli, you're like, I'm going to pick the funny option. The funny option will decrease points or whatever as you're going through.
Yeah, because everyone's like, wow, fuck you, buddy.
Yeah. And so...
I'm used to it.
And so Colette's... so I did Colette's because I figured that's the one that you guys would get, because she starts with... It's like 500 more affection points than everyone else gets.
So it's like Aerith, where it's rigged. Option.
Yeah. And so you have to like try hard to get someone else.
Eli, to explain that, in FF7 there's a really famous scene about it's in the first third of the game, but it's like right at the end of the first act of the game, where you basically just have a bit of time to chill. So you decide to go to the fun, you go to the fun vacation spot to hang out and wait for something important to happen. And while you're there, you decide to go on a date with someone. And yeah, basically, the only way to not go on a date with Aerith is if you are a complete ass to her the entire game, because she starts off with so many more relationship points than everyone else. So, like, if you say a single nice thing to her the whole game, you go on a date with her. Like, you have to just be unrelentingly mean to her and then really nice to someone else in order to go on a date with someone else. I've never gotten not Aerith, I don't think, on my date in that game.
Yeah, me neither. But, so, Colette's little scene, I like the least, because she spends most of it saying that Kratos is your dad and you have to have a relationship with your blood family, which is totally not true.
Yeah,
and
that is false,
and like
100%.
Kind of toxic the way she like justifies it and everything. But she does finally make a fucking move on Lloyd at the end, and she's like, "Hey, can I come stand close to you and hold your hand?" And it's cute. Well,
to be clear, she does not hold his hand. That is you editorializing.
It is not me editorializing it, because if you watch the beginning, this scene is in the anime intro, and she holds his hand and lays on his shoulder.
Okay, that is fine then. Yes. I did not. That's funny. They just didn't do it with the graphics. Okay, good, because I'm like, it's in the whole game. Like, she almost says, "Oh yeah, you skip this." She almost tells Lloyd she loves him earlier in this week. I forget when. She's just like, "Lloyd, and he's like, "You what?"
The friend hangout at Dirk's, I think.
Right. And then she's like, never mind, right? So, like, she's got the hot for like the whole fucking game, and finally, but they don't even, like, smooch. She's literally just like, can I come stand close to you? And I'm like, look, I'm all for asking for consent and all, but, like, if you want to sit next to someone, just scooch over on the bench. Like, just... It's chill. It's fine. I know Lloyd's real stupid, so like you gotta be very obvious here. Anyway, that's all she gets. That's all she gets out of it. It's sad. Yeah. Sad. Poor little girl.
But the cool part, and this is the main reason to double your save, is not just to see these 3 dates, but if you say no to all 3 people, you go on a date with Kratos. and then he joins the party, and then
That's
Zelos
how you
gets
do
mad
it.
at you for that, and you have to kill Zelos. I don't
like
remember
that at all.
What?
I don't remember the exact resolution to Zelos. I just know that the 2 boss fights from now is either one of the Desians or Zelos, depending on if you have Kratos in your party or not.
Oh my god.
I don't remember the exact reason, and then I saved in the wrong spot. I was going to go back and get it for science, but I don't have that science anymore, so I'll look it up or whatever.
Fun fact, so I was going into this part, and I heard that you can either end up with Zelos or Kratos, because I know Sam was trying to hide it, but he kind of had to tell us, that way we would know what to do in the game. And the whole time it's like, Kratos is bad. He's obviously bad. So I kept waiting for some kind of decision, but I'm like, I'm keeping an open mind, you know? I'm like, maybe there'll be some kind of twist where it turns out that, like, Zelos sucks or something, and there's an interesting little choice to be made here. But then there's the scene with Colette, and the whole thing is Colette's like, you gotta trust Kratos, and Lloyd isn't really into it. Like, she's like, you gotta trust Kratos, he's your dad, and Lloyd's like, I don't know, I think that maybe I want to hear him out first. Like, I'm not against it, but like, maybe we should hear him out first and see what's going on. And I keep expecting there to be some kind of decision where it's like, do you decide to trust Kratos or not? And no, it turned, and at that point I was thinking making the decision, although, like, look, I love, like, Kratos is an interesting character. I really like him. I want to learn more about him. But Zelos is a sweetheart and has done nothing wrong to me the whole game, right? So, anyway, I'm glad I didn't accidentally
he was acting real suspicious.
Yeah, I glossed over it a little bit, but he's up to something.
Okay, that is actually true, yeah. But it's very subtle, and actually in the scene that's right after the scene that we haven't gotten to, Sam, as you're leaving Flanois, Zelos is kind of hanging out behind, and Lloyd walks back to Zelos, and he's just like, hey, Zelos, I trust you. But what's weird to me is, like, I don't know, I hadn't really been picking up on that, or, like, it'd been, the moments of him being weird were so minor that, like, it was weird to me that scene was necessary. Because I'm like, why, I don't feel like there's any canon I don't think there's any, like, diegetic acknowledgement that anyone doesn't trust him. So the idea that he would go up and say, I trust you, it's like, that's weird. Was that in question? I didn't realize that was up for grabs here, up for debate here. Yeah, it's weird. But yeah, other than a few very random scenes where he just is vaguely mysterious, Zelos is a sweetheart. So anyway, I'm glad I didn't have to murder him. That would make me upset.
Yeah, I wish that I could go and murder him next week, but I'll just look it up on YouTube or something and say what it is.
I guess I could do it and take one for the team.
Yeah, I mean, you also could just play until that point, and then, like, if you have time,
but I would want to see how. Well, I would want to see how the rest of the game plays out, though, because that's kind of different. Like, the whole thing is we're going to go to the final dungeon and confront Kratos, and now it's like, oh, he's on our team. So I'm sure that it probably changes the last arc of the game. I would say, at least in some manner.
Yeah, but basically, this is just their reaction to not being able to save a certain character in a certain popular game for the PlayStation 1, and they were like, you know what, we're going to have that in our game. And so they put in this, why would you ever say no to the 3 people on your reward for being nice to them for the whole game? It's like, it's not a very obvious way to get Kratos on your team, but they wanted to add it in to be cute. But yeah, so the next morning everybody's back, and they all, I don't remember exactly what they say, but they basically are like, we gotta go and stop the bad guys, and this is the final bit of the game.
They said that their goal, they have 2 goals. The first goal is to, actually I've already forgotten. I think the 2 goals are kind of the same goal. Actually, they're like, all right, gang, we're going to go back to Boris Karloff, and we've got 2 goals. Our first goal is to revive Origin, get that sword and bring Origin back. Oh yeah, you forgot something, Sam, which is that. Oh yeah. It turns out that Zelos can wield Origin. And the reason why is that obviously he's the chosen one and is good at swords, but also it turns out that they did some fucked up Teethla science experiments on him, so he has elven blood. So, not has elven blood in the lineage way, he just literally has elf blood in his blood. Yeah. So that means that he can do it. So they're just like, cool. So our goal is we take Zelos and we get the sword and we get Origin, and the other goal is we stop we stop Yggdrasil from doing his stupid bullshit that he wants to do.
Yeah. So we'll do that next week as we finish the game. But for now, we're going to listen to the track titled "Far From Our World." I believe it's what they play in Gaia. I think that's the town theme for up there. Either way, we'll listen to that and then we'll talk about our memorable moments. Eli, do you have any?
I think I did, but I don't actually remember because I neglected to write it down. I will say I've been very confused a lot of the time about who the enemies actually are.
Yeah.
Because there's a lot of back and forth and like, oh, this person's helping me. Oh, they're trying to kill me now. Oh, but they're helping me again. And like, it's very unclear, like, who... And I mean, that's not necessarily a bad thing, not being fully clear on who's good and who's bad. Like, you can have good stories where it's like, you know...
ambiguities and such.
Yeah, it's ambiguous. The villains are not technically villains because they, you know, like, they are actually doing something for, you know, the good of the world or whatever. They're just going about it in a bad way. They're, you know, they're anti-villains or, you know, working to subvert tropes, but I don't feel like tropes are being subverted. I feel like there's just a lot of confusion.
Yeah. So if I had to guess, I feel like the game is already a little bit, like I said, it's one of the most structureless games I've ever played in my goddamn life, not counting like Western RPGs that don't have any structure because you can do whatever. Like, I don't know, and I don't just mean the parts where you can go around and do stuff non-linearly because it's fun. I mean the parts where it is linear. I'm like, what is this plot structure? We're very clearly in the dramatic third act. Why are we going on a quest to get a fruit to heal someone who got hurt? That's the kind of shit you do in the first act of a game. But so part of it, I think, is the game is just like that. But also, I think a decent chunk of it is the localization, because there really is a lot of loosey-goosey writing in here where they are just not very, very good at making things clear.
There was one this week where Zealous was like, oh, that's why the normally healthy king has been sick this week. I'm like, that's not a sentence. You can't just say that.
Yeah. Also, this game totally pulls some like the whole thing with the blood. One of my mem moms actually, I took a picture here. Someone goes, Sheena is like, so Teethla technology, or no. As you're leaving the town, she's like, so you really have elf blood? He's like, yeah, and she goes, Teethla has that kind of technology? And Delos goes, it sure does for some weird reason.
Yep.
And it's like, you just, like, throw that out there. Hey, here's a problem that we just made up. Hey, here's the solution. It's some bullshit that we never even alluded to earlier in the story. I guess Zealous has elf blood now. Okay, who cares? He even acknowledges it. He says, for some reason.
Yeah, like... So obviously, Kratos is the one that made the pact with Origin. So it feels like they were leading up to being like, oh, Kratos will use the sword and that's how you'll get going. And they're like, but wait, no. Zelos' story is a better story, so Kratos is going to be the optional one. So shit, fuck it. Zelos has elven blood. Let's just keep going.
Killing Zelos was the original way the story goes, and they realized that was like too dark and people would hate it, so they modified it slightly, maybe.
Yeah, I don't know. It's wild, but I will say that specifically to Eli's point about Ewan being a quintuple agent.
Yeah. How many times has he been a double agent?
He has a fairly lengthy side quest that we haven't been doing, and it's stupid to like. This game goes for a lot of the like strategy guide type side quests. So it's like for you in side quest, you have to do something special at early in disc 1, and then it's like right after you get it's in Haima after he stabs Kratos. You can investigate on the ground right there and find a ring, and if you do that, then once you get the Riards, but not in disc 2, so you have to still do it in disc 1, you have to, if you go to the top of Fuji Mountains, you can see Ewan again, and then if you do that, in disc 2, you can go to where you met up with him and Boda in Silverant, and he's there, and he explains his whole deal, and him and Martel were engaged, and he's basically has come to the realization at the end of 4,000 years of like shit that to save the world he has to kill Martel, because her being the great seed in the middle of the two halves of everything is a bad thing. So
he's been going through this whole journey to save his sort of dead girlfriend, but now he's finally realized that that's actually bad, and he needs to get over it.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so it makes it make a little bit more sense, but like put it in the text, not in the side quests.
To quote everyone's favorite nearly catatonic businessman Dougie Jones, make it make sense.
But
offer help.
Yeah.
Oh no! Sorry, it's make sense of it. That's what he says.
Make sense of it. Yeah.
But so there's another one that I know that Eli has because it was one of mine, and he put it in the thing. So Sheena's talking at one point, and they typoed one of the text controls.
Meanwhile, I didn't even notice this.
I was like, Sheena, are you okay?
But she's like, it's all right with three L's. And it's like, I just need to win against him, /FI. Won't run away anymore. And so it's like, oh, that was a new text box line or something like that.
Yeah.
And they got fucked up in there, which is
Or it's foreshadowing a plot twist in which Sheena is a robot.
But then the other one that I had, hold on, god damn it. So I had scrolled to it because Summer took a picture of the screen for me because I was playing at the time, and so I'm scrolling to where it was on the thing, but iMessage to the thing where it unloads your old messages, so I have to scroll up, let it load, scroll up, let it load. But so Zelos's personal skill is you talk to a girl, they flirt, they have this cute little extra dialogue, and the girl gives you an item, and most of the time it's just like, hello beautiful, and it's like, sir, my husband's right there, here, have an apple gel, and it's usually no big deal. But if you use Zelos and you talk to all the girls in Heimdall, they are mean to him. They still give him items. You still get the gameplay benefit, but
that's really funny.
So you go to this one girl, and he's like, hey, beautiful. And she goes, what are you trying to do? It's wrong for you to say things like that to me. And Zelos is like, I guess this village might not be the best place for this. So you talk to the girl right next to it. Of course you do, because I want the items. And the girl goes, it's because of people like you that tragedies happen.
That's a really sick diss.
Wow.
It's so good. But basically every single possible girl there just has some burn against Zelos, and it's great. Highly recommend. Just fly back to Heimdall and talk to people as Zelos. It's so good. But that's all that I have. Maddy, do you have any more specific ones?
Yeah, I've got a couple. The first elf I talked to in Elven Village, he's like, living together in harmony with the forest is the way of the elves. And I'm like, y'all sure are elves. I was like, oh, worm? Wow, really subverting expectations here. I just think that's funny. And secondly, when you're in Bad Guy City, you talk to this one guard, and he's like a human. He's talking to an angel, And the angel's like, a human. Since I have not received an order to capture you, you are irrelevant. And I'm like, damn, okay, I guess that if you don't put out an all points bulletin for the literal enemy of your boss, honestly, I respect that. It's like you're at a job, right? And you have nothing to do, and your boss is like, why aren't you doing anything? And you're like, because I finished the thing you told me to do, and you didn't tell me to do anything else. What am I going to do? Do shit for no reason? You're the boss. You tell me to. If you want me to do something, you tell me to do it, asshole. So I respect that. I respect that. Maybe they're enacting an intentional, organized slowdown. Finally, when you're hanging out in Fenois, when she asked you to go on a date with her, when Colette asks, she's like, it's really cold outside, and Lloyd is like, oh yeah, I guess it's because it's snowing. And I'm like, once again, no one in this world knows how ecology or weather works. It is in fact snowing because it's cold. But no, in this world, in this world we find out, this isn't one of my memos, but I guess it is now, we find out that gravity happens because of the summon spirit of Earth, Gnome.
Oh, yeah.
Like, that's why there's gravity, because of magic, Gnome. And we also already learned that the reason this city is cold is because the cold spirit is nearby and makes it snow, which makes it be cold. So apparently the 6 or whatever, 7, 9 summon spirits just are the cause of all natural phenomena, including basic things like it's cold sometimes and there's gravity.
So, question. Gnome is a Tethealan summon spirit. How does gravity work in Silverant?
That's a good point. Who knows?
If Silverant is the moon of Tetheala, as we learned a couple weeks ago, I didn't bring it up because it's fucking stupid. But if it's the moon, like, if Gnome was it was gravity and everyone was
it used to be one world,
Gnome,
so maybe the magic link means that it keeps being that way.
I don't know, but it's silly.
Whatever. Also, I like how they almost subvert a major JRPG trope where we decide that we're going to go to the final dungeon and fuck everyone up, and Lloyd says, hey, Colette, you should stay here because you're the one that they want. The bad guys are after you to fulfill their evil plot, so you should stay here so that you're not going to the bad guys so that they can use you for their evil plot. And I'm like, look at that. They're actually doing the thing that, like, no one in any fucking game realizes is what you should obviously do, which is don't take the magical sacred gems with you to fight the boss. But then Colette is like, no, I really want to help you. You don't leave me here. We're all in this together, which makes sense for her character. So they're still doing the trope, but I like how they at least acknowledge that it's stupid and they honestly shouldn't be taking Colette with them. Now, I do think that maybe everyone else in the party should have stuck with Lloyd and been like, no, Colette, like, we love you. We appreciate you. Please stay here. But they do not do that. But I still found it rather cute. And finally, when you're on your date with Colette, you talk about the 7th of all of the dwarven vows, which is, it's so weird how that's been like a thing the whole game, but not like, it's at no point has it been like an important plot point. Like, you think it'd be like a major thing that's like part of Lloyd's character, but instead it's just, sometimes it happens, sometimes it's just there. It's almost like if you made a movie about me where I'm constantly referencing Homestuck and you think that at some point my connection with Homestuck is going to be like part of my character arc, but no, it's just a thing I'm always doing. So anyway, it turns out that the 7th and final dwarven vow is the one that Lloyd hates the most, but Colette really likes it. So in order to believe in the power of friendship, she makes him say it with her, and it's I like it. It's goodness and love will always win. And you know what? On one hand, that's childish anime problem. On the other hand, sometimes childish anime problem is real. Although I would modify it if I were to talk about my own personal beliefs. I would not say goodness and love will always win. I would say goodness and love will eventually win. Because always win, I think, is a bit of a misreading of history. But I do believe in goodness and love, and their power to, in the long run, in the long scheme of things, overcome all. So I like how they kind of put a pin on it, and I'm like, you know what? That's fucking right. That's right. That's it. That's me.
Nice. So, speaking of things that will always win, the next game that we will be playing as Best of the Rest for year 3, surprisingly, is Anacronox. Like, when this when this vote like was coming together, like when we started playing Brave Story, and I was like, okay, these are the 4 games that are coming up. Obviously, it's going to come between Breath of Fire and Final Fantasy X-2. I hope they don't pick Final Fantasy because we're in a Square moratorium, and I don't want to break that. I never thought it would even come close for it being Anacronox, but
I kind of had a feeling it would. It looks like an interesting game, and it is one of the few games we've ever played that's from the West. And it probably is a lot better than Septericor. I actually am not as shocked as you, but I am pleased. I find it. I think it's interesting.
Yeah. So every single person who voted put Anacronox as their number 2 vote, and then all the other votes were completely scattered. So remember, these are golf rules. You want it to be the lowest number. So 10-2, Breath of Fire tied with 18 points. Hex's Force was in last place with only 19 points, so only 1 point off from the other ones, and Anacronox won with 15 points. So because everyone was meh about Anacronox, it wins, and it received 0 first place votes. So it's fun.
That's how I plan on winning the office of president one day after we have ranked choice voting for national presidential elections. For the record, that is a joke. I will never run for public office. But if I did, I would win by being everyone's second favorite. Yes.
Just be milquetoast enough where every person is okay with you, and you'll win. You just can't be too polarizing on plus or minus, because you'll get too many ones and too many fours.
Polarizing. Everyone would just think I'm hot, so they put me number 2.
Oh, okay. It's like, yeah, so Maddy's politics are really bad, but she looked great on the debate stage, number 2.
I mean, look, if we had ranked choice voting, I would have put Marianne Williamson number 2. That's all I'm saying. Or Tulsi.
Yeah, so next week we will be finishing this game. A week after that, we'll be watching some movie. There are a lot of Tales-related movies, but almost all of them, I think, are adaptations, which are not necessarily as good. And if we were going to play an adaptation of a Tales game, we would do the one that we're actually playing, but this one is the longest. Most of them are like a movie. This one is a whole anime series.
Yeah, that's a lot.
So I have no idea what we'll actually
I'll figure it out. We should just watch any anime.
Yeah, maybe we'll find some anime that's about like it's a isekai that's about 2 parallel worlds, something like that. We'll figure it out. Yeah. We'll watch something in 2 weeks,
and then Story.
Oh, that's a good one. That's a great story. But yeah. So after movie night, we will then start Anacronox in about 3 weeks. So. If you didn't catch it when it was on sale for a quarter last week, like we all did, it's only $5, and it'll probably be on sale again on one of the 3 places you can buy it for a quarter between now and then.
You're supposed to have bought it already.
I already bought it for you, and you already accepted it and sent me a thank you on Steam.
Okay, I don't remember.
But yes, we all already have it.
Great.
But, does it play on Mac?
I don't know. Let's look.
I mean, I guess I'll find out.
Oh yeah, there it is.
Oh well, my Steam has an update, so maybe.
That logo.
I mean, I got one of each computer, so it's whatever. It's fine. I'll figure it out.
It's from 2001. So
how long to beat say that it is?
I don't know. Let's see. I'm not cutting any of this out, so you guys get to see how the cheese is made right now.
Oh, longer than expected. About 30 hours. Like, that's normal for an RPG. I just was expecting shorter. I don't know.
Yeah. But, yeah, that will be a thing we do in about 3 weeks. And I'm hoping it's easy, because I was low-key rooting for Hex's Force because I want things to be easy. Because
I'd love something that's just... And I mean, like, I know for me this has been relatively easy, but there's still been some frustrating moments. And I'm like, I could just use something that's chill and...
Here's someone on Reddit complaining about how they wish they hadn't picked normal skill level because it's boring. So that seems promising. Also, it has skill
yeah.
levels. Yeah, for once, I'm also very largely wanting it to be easy because my life's a lot right now, so I would rather just through a game.
Yeah.
Frankly, I've been through this game, not on purpose, but like, I probably have the least level of comprehension of this game's plot of any game we've played on this pod, and that's not all the game's fault. Part of that is just on me.
Yeah, it's about 50-50, the game and you at this point. But related to the next game that we're playing, we just unlocked the next season of Longcast, which I know what you're thinking. You're like, but Sam, how are we on the next season of Longcast? We haven't done the season of Shortcast yet, and we know. So coming soon, in like the next month or so, will be our episodes on The Last of Us, and then shortly after that, we'll get started on Final Fantasy 13. I don't know how I'm going to do 3 episodes a week, but I will, because you guys paid me, and that's the promise that I made. But,
yeah, boy, and just to be clear, you might be thinking, FF13, that's a normal length JRPG. Why is that Longcast? No. We're doing all 3 of them.
Yeah.
That's the bit. And I'm real excited to replay FF13 to see if it might actually be good, and to play FF13 2 and 3 for the first time, which I've heard are actually good.
Yeah. So Final Fantasy 13, I have heard people say it's horrible, and I've heard people say I love it because I love the characters. I have heard people say that 13.2 is really good because it's apology for all of the systems that weren't that good in 13. But then Lightning Returns, I have heard people say it is unplayably bad, the worst thing I've ever played, and people say it's a masterpiece and it's the best Final Fantasy game.
Really?
And that's the shit that I'm about.
I guess you follow more non-trans people on Twitter, because I've only heard that it's a masterpiece.
Yeah. I have heard so many people be like, oh, a non-linear Final Fantasy game is a bad thing, and the story is hot garbage and bonkers, and why would you make a Majora's Mask Final Fantasy game? And I'm like, okay, you're describing my favorite game.
Yep.
Like, let's do this. I'm ready for it.
Oh yeah, I will say, this week they didn't, not to derail things further, and we're going to wrap it up, but I will say, one thing that none of us talked about is E3 happened. And for the first time, I just didn't care. And not just didn't care, I didn't know what was happening. I was like, oh, some games are being announced. Did some company have a conference? Oh, no, it's day 1 of E3. Wow. Okay.
Yep.
I guess I'm free of caring about video games. But Square did announce a hilarious new game, which is it looks like a grimdark, edgy, like fucking made by Team Ninja action game where the character's I'm gonna
Souls-like.
Maybe. I'm not sure if that's actually true, but
the demo is out. It is.
Oh,
It's
okay.
a Souls-like.
Wait, the demo's actually playable?
Yeah, like you can just. It's on my PS5.
No, but have you tried playing it? Because apparently it doesn't work.
I've heard people like play it. I haven't played it myself, but
I heard everyone was launching it and it was crashing. Anyway, whatever. Point is, it looks dope as hell. But here's the twist. It's like kind of a remake of Final Fantasy 1, but also maybe an isekai.
It's a Final Fantasy Origin.
Yeah, it's a prequel to Final Fantasy 1.
The name is,
what it feels
and with
like.
no punctuation, Stranger of Paradise Final Fantasy Origin. No punctuation. It looks brilliant, but the reason Square has done it again. Square is the most insane video game company of all time. They'll never stop being that way. But the reason I bring that up is I actually don't remember why I brought it up. I wanted to mention something about it besides just like, here's a thing that exists. We were talking about
polarizing things of how everyone says that.
Oh, right. Some people were tweeting about it and how it looks like it's incomprehensible garbage. And someone tweeted something. They were like, I don't really know, like, when he says that, it's like, are you familiar with the Final Fantasy series? Like, because, but then she characterized it in such a cool way. She wasn't like, oh, every Final Fantasy game since, like, 12 or whatever, or since 13, like, every modern Final Fantasy game is incomprehensible garbage. No, the way she said it, she was like, Final Fantasy games throw you in to their insane bullshit, and over the 30 hours of playing the game, you eventually get on their level. And I'm like, that is such a good explanation of like their modus operandi. It's like you need to be where they're at by the time you're done with the game.
Yeah.
They're not going to wait around for you. I really, really think that that's a cute description.
Yeah, and I'm excited for that to happen 3 times in a row.
Exactly.
Because the engine was too expensive for them to cancel the Fabula Nova Chrysalis, so they had to get 3 games out of it somehow.
Yep.
And I'm excited. So that'll all be happening soon. You can check out all of that on the web at www.rpgbook.club, where you can toss us some ducats, keep the lights on, unlock the next portion of the 13 trilogy, and yeah, all of that. Hit us up there. I also overhauled the Discord this week. None of us have been able to notice because it's just things are different for new people. So if you're a new person, you can come and have a great new onboarding experience in our Discord. The rest of us don't get any of that. But
I noticed it was a new channel, and that's it. That's all I noticed.
Yeah. So now when you come and do an invite, it'll be like, hey, welcome to our channel. Here's our rules. Do you agree? Check if you're here for the podcast, these are the channels to look for to talk about the episode you just listened to show off your shit in the Creations Corner, to talk with us, those sorts of things.
Fun.
It's like, it's cool. It's a fun little thing. So come and check it out and tell me that it's all broken because I can't see it because I'm already a member of the Discord. But that's it, I do believe. For RPG Book Club, I have been Sam Allman.
I'm Elias Sailor Eli Warren.
And I'm Maddy Grace Weather.
Toodaloo, folks.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.
I'm going to edit this. This was a funny joke and my fucking tongue ruined it.
That's the funniest part.
Yes. So now that's going to be the end of the episode, of course.